Hey, what's up, Market Moose? Mike from the Moose on the Loose. I hope you're doing well today. Big fight. So last week we did Hydro One versus Fortis. Today we're doing Granite REIT, GRT.UN versus Canadian Tire, CT REIT. CRT.UN. A bit unusual because yes, they are two REITs, but one is an industrial REIT and the other one is a retail. So not exactly the same economic features, the same landscape, but they have two things in common. They offer a yield above 5% and they increase their distribution every single year. So two things that I love when I have to look at a dividend grower. Of course, I'm not a big fan of REIT in general because they don't bring that much returns overall. They're a little bit more stable. But if you're looking for income and if you're looking for something stable, probably that it's a good place to be. Full disclaimer, I do have Granite in my portfolio. Not that happy in terms of returns, but the business is great. So let's move on to, we're going to take a look at today the business model, the dividend triangle, the growth vector, the risk potential, dividend safety, and the valuation. So business model, to compare both, I mean, one is an industrial REIT. So Granite focuses on warehouses, high technology properties, automotive with Magna International at like 26% of their revenue, but it's really about warehouses and e-commerce distribution center now. They are present across the world, which is a good thing in terms of diversification. And they, besides Magna, they have several different tenants, Amazon being the second largest at around 4%. So very well diversified. For CT REIT, completely different. All in Canada, all in for Canadian Tire properties, pretty much. I mean, it's like 97% of the revenue. So it's a classic retail REITs. What is great about CT REIT, though, is the fact that they have like large parking lots. They have a lot of like land. They have a lot of room for growth in that regards. So that helps them a little bit to be stable, and they benefit from that super strong brand of Canadian Tire, of course. So while some other retail REITs may have troubles having occupation rate steady, well, this one, it's not a problem at this point, but I mean, completely tied to one single retailer. In terms of dividend triangle, what I like about both is they're both growing. The revenue is growing. And of course, you don't look at the earnings per share. You look at the FFO per share or per unit if you prefer. FFO per unit is going up as well for both, and the distribution is going up as well for both Granite and CT REIT. I would say Granite shows a little bit better numbers in terms of growth than CT REIT, but not too much. So when you compare both in terms of dividend triangle, it's pretty much the same thing. In terms of growth vectors, though, this is where it's a lot different, in my opinion. So Granite, the need for industrial properties, the need for e-commerce, distribution centers, warehouses is definitely there. The company is able to have like long-term contract, like 5-6 years, and they continuously develop new projects. So there's a lot of room for increase. They show a very solid occupation rate around 94%. So their growth is really the need, the demand for this type of properties. As for CT REIT, well, they can build more Canadian Tires, that's of course, but also an interesting point here in terms of their growth strategy is they intend to add some smaller stores to the Canadian Tire. They want to use their land to revamp it, cut a little bit on the parking lot, and maybe add a little bit more, like a bigger store, and then a few more stores, so they can increase the rental income per land for that using this strategy. In terms of potential risks now, of course, for Granite, there are like two main risk that I see. The first one is, of course, Magna International. I mean, it's an automotive company. Could definitely go through hard times, wants to maybe at one point close some of their properties and then move on. So that's a big risk because 26-27% of their revenue is tied to this tenant. The second risk I see is right now there is a lot of demand for industrial properties, but at one point, if you reach the point of oversupply, you're going to end up with large warehouses that are empty without any tenants, not making any money, but still costing a lot in maintenance. So also you have to consider that. For City REIT, well, the biggest one is, of course, pure play on retail, pure play on Canada, pure play on Kintyre. So if you invest in City REIT, you have to track down what's going on with Kintyre. You need to know that business inside out and monitor this other company as well. Because if Kintyre goes well, City REIT will go along. And if it fails, well, of course, City REIT is going to take a big beating. So in that regards, I think City REIT is maybe a little bit more risky, a bit riskier just for that. In terms of dividend safety and dividend growth, well, both have about the same growth, over 3% per year. So not too crazy, but again, you look at those two REITs thinking, I'm going to add an income source. I'm going to add like a deluxe bond. So a stock that over time will give me a little bit of capital appreciation, but the first reason why I want to have this company in my portfolio is to have that decent yield coming in that is safe. The FFO payout ratio is way under control. It's around 70% from the top of my memory for both REITs, which is quite great. If you look at a lot of REITs, you're going to see an FFO payout ratio around like 85, 90%. So those two REITs are way above that, and they are able to have enough money to grow their business through new development and increase the distribution every year. Small increase, enough to beat the inflation. This is pretty much what you want to go for. We're going to end the show today with the valuation. So the valuation, we have like Granite at a larger market cap, but more volatile, kind of funny. So if you're looking for something like that has a peace of mind, probably that the retail REIT is smoother in terms of stock fluctuation. I would say that City REIT also shows better numbers for the dividend discount model. So we use the DDM also at DSR to compare two companies. It's a great way because now you hesitate between two REIT that are similar in terms of dividend triangle, in terms of dividend yield and dividend growth. So one thing that could be interesting is to see the valuation. P ratio doesn't work for REITs, of course. So looking at the DDM could be a good way to do it. And in that regard, City REIT is a little bit better. A part of that is Granite is having a great year this year, finally. But overall, I think both companies have a place in your portfolio if you're looking for income. Of course, you have to dig further. It's not financial advice. You have to do your due diligence and also understand like all the tax implication. For REITs, I would probably not have them in a non-registered account because then when you receive your distribution, a part of it is return on capital. It affects your adjusted cost base of your purchase. So your book value is going to go down. When you sell, you have to track that down as well. So overall, not convinced. It's an easy way to have those holdings. Better off into a TFSA, an RSP, or a LIRA account where you don't have to manage taxes. But I mean, that's just my opinion. You do you, I do me, and that's all good. So there you go. If you want to have more news about the stock market and stock analysis, subscribe to the newsletter, moosemarkets.com/newsletter. I'm actually working on a whole new set of series there and it's going to be exclusive to the newsletter for ending the hesitation to buy and knowing exactly what and when to sell as well. So 2 great email series that are coming up in the newsletter. If you're not subscribed there, you're not going to find these emails or that content anywhere outside of Dividend Stocks Rock, the paywall. So if you're not a member, you want to register for the free email list at moosemarkets.com/newsletter. All right, Moose, that's enough for today. Tomorrow we have Nelson on the show again, so do not miss it. And until then, don't forget to stay invested.